Hi guys, welcome to Memos Tutorials. Today we are looking at plant responses to the environment, and we are going to be focusing on plant hormones. So we have three main plant hormones, which are auxins, gibberellins, and abscisic acids. So just in case they ask you to define these hormones, these are not true hormones because they actually work in the part where they are produced. Remember, when we looked at hormones in animals, they were produced by a certain gland and then they were sent to target organs. But in this case, they function where they are produced. So these hormones, we call them the plant growth hormones. So we have three of them that we need to focus on according to exam guidelines. And why are they all important? Just in general, we're saying that these hormones, they allow plants to bloom. They allow plants to bloom at the appropriate time. They allow plants to grow towards a source of light. You understand it when we look at phototropism. They also allow plants to germinate at the appropriate time. They also induce dominance in plants at the appropriate time. We have times where plants they can act as if they are dead, waiting for the proper conditions for them to germinate, or for the proper conditions for them to start producing fruits. So the three hormones that we are looking at are the auxins, gibberellin, and abscisic acid. So starting with the auxins, these auxins are very important. They stimulate cell elongation, they stimulate cell division, they stimulate the development of fruits, also the abscission of leaves and fruits. So when I say abscission, this is a natural detachment where fruits just fall off from the tree without any outside effect, like somebody pulling them down or picking them up. They're just detaching themselves. Same applies to the leaves. Also the development of adventitious root in stem cuttings. Adventitious roots, I'm just referring to roots developing in non-root parts of the plant, or maybe roots developing from just a stem or just a portion of a plant that has been planted, and then the roots that develop, we call them adventitious roots. We also have they stimulate tropic movement in stem and roots. They also promote apical dominance. It suppresses the growth of lateral buds, which means to say when we have a lot of auxins, the plant will only grow, will become longer and longer. There will be elongation of the plant, and we'll be having less branches, no branches at all. It will be just getting long and long. And then now looking at the gibberellins, these ones, they stimulate stem elongation as well. They stimulate root growth. They also stimulate the germination of seeds. They promote flowering as well. So this one doesn't have much of the roles compared to the auxins. The last one, the abscisic acid, I call it ABA, abscisic acid. This is an inhibitor of growth. It causes plants to become dormant in winter. Some of the plants, when you walk around here, you might think that they are dead or they are not living because of this abscisic acid. Plants will look they will not produce any fruits. Most of them, they won't be having any leaves or anything. They'll be waiting for the right time. So this abscisic acid is the one that makes plants to appear dormant in winter. Also, it causes abscission of leaves and fruits. I'm sure you can agree with me. As you walk around, you realize that most of the plants, they don't have leaves as we speak, since we're in winter. The leaves detached themselves from the trees. Also, when a plant lacks water, it may suffer like water stress, and this water stress stimulates the production of abscisic acid. And also the other important thing that abscisic acid does is that it causes the closing of the stomata when the plant wilts. So wilting, we are saying the plant is losing more water than the water that it is gaining. So closing the stomata will be an advantage. It means that at least water loss will be reduced. I hope we're together. So now I want us to look at the uses of auxins in agriculture. You are also supposed to know that. So we have now, they've developed hormone weed killers. These hormone weed killers are auxin based, they have auxins in them. So these are auxin based selective herbicides. Their main factor that controls the weed growth in these herbicides is actually the auxins. Okay, so the good thing about these herbicides is that they can only kill weeds. I'm sure you can agree with me. If I'm to spray any chemical, or maybe I want to destroy some pests that are affecting my yields, that are affecting, let's say I'm growing maize, they are eating my maize, so if I spray any chemical, you can all agree with me that these chemicals, they have side effects. They might end up killing the other living organisms in that particular ecosystem that I'll be dealing with. So now these hormone based weed killers can only kill the weeds. They will only kill the weeds and then leave your maize, leave any other living organism in that particular ecosystem. That's what makes them the best. So advantage number one, they are non-toxic to animals and humans. They are non-toxic at all. Also, there is no longer the need for weeding the garden. Once you have sprayed an auxin-based herbicide, there is no longer the need for you to weed the garden because all the weeds are going to die. Okay. So an example of this herbicide we have. I'll just say it once, guys. This is a very long word. We have 2.4 dichlorophenoacetate acid. Okay, 2.4 dichlorophenoacetate acid. This is a weed killer, so it's auxin based, so it's not going to kill any other animal except any other animal or humans, or cause any effects except destroying the weeds. Okay, so that's a very important part that you must understand when we look at uses of auxins in agriculture. And then now I want us to look at what we call phototropism and geotropism. So tropism, it's when we have our plants growing towards a certain stimulus, ne? And usually it's light. For phototropism, it's light. So we have phototropism and geotropism. For geotropism, we're looking at the plant growth in relation to gravity. Okay, so now for both, remember we're looking at auxins. So now we need to know where these auxins are produced. They are produced at the apical meristem. I'm sure you still remember in grade 10 when you did tissues, to say when you did mitosis as well, to say when it comes to plants, it's not all the parts of the plant that undergo mitosis. We have the meristematic tissues. Those are the only cells that undergo mitosis. So these also include the apical meristem. So the apical meristem undergoes mitosis, a dividing cell. This apical meristem produces auxins, a lot of auxins. Okay, so now when looking at phototropism, we are saying these auxins are produced at the tip of the stem. That's where they are produced. When we look at geotropism, these auxins are produced at the tip of the roots. So on geotropism, we are focusing on the roots, and on phototropism, we are looking at the stem or the shoot. So auxins move downward evenly. This means that there is an even distribution of what? Of light. So auxins, they move downward easily, and also on geotropism, they also move down. In this case, they don't move downward, they move in the opposite side, which is upward evenly. So the even distribution brings about equal growth on all sides of the stem. Whenever we have got equal distribution of these auxins, it means even the growth is going to be equal and the stem will just elongate. And then the even distribution on geotropism brings about equal growth on all sides of the root. It's going to be equal. So it's the same on phototropism and also on geotropism. So we are saying, as a result, on phototropism, because there's an equal distribution of auxins, we are going to have stems growing upward. Then on geotropism, we are going to have the root growing downwards. Okay, so now we are saying when the stem is exposed to a unilateral light, we're just saying light from one side. When exposed to light from one side, the auxin concentration will be higher on the darker side. So what happens? Light destroys the auxins. So we will have a higher concentration of auxins on the darker side, and more growth will occur on the dark side, because auxins, remember, they stimulate growth and they work better when they are in the dark. So at the end of the day, the stem will bend towards where the light is coming from. I'm going to illustrate that on the board to show you how light affects the growth of plants. Okay, so now looking at geotropism, we are saying the auxin concentration, when the root is placed horizontally, when you put your root horizontally, we are saying only one side is exposed to gravity, and the auxin concentration will be higher on the lower side of the root. Gravity attracts auxins. So we are saying more growth now will occur on the upper side because auxins inhibit growth on the lower side. So as a result, the root bends downwards. So I'm going to illustrate that using a diagram. How I'll start off with the role of auxins in phototropism and also in geotropism. My diagrams are not that good, but I hope you guys will get the idea of what I'm trying to show you. So let's just say this is our this is our shoot. This is where we have the apical meristem, and then this is the root, and then this is our ground. Okay, so this is where auxins are produced, and we are having light. So we are saying this light now, it's causing the auxins to move downwards. We are looking at phototropism. Phototropism. These lights will make all the auxins to move downwards, and they'll be evenly distributed. So what's going to happen? This is going to elongate. The stem is going to grow in length, to increase in length. Okay, but then now when we have a scenario where the light will be coming from one source, from one side, instead of it coming up nicely like that, it's coming from what? One side. For example, let's say this is the light, it's coming from the right side like that. This is where we have our auxins. So what happens is light destroys auxins. So auxins are going to concentrate here on the dark side. We will have a lot of auxins on the dark side, and growth will only happen on this left side. So what will happen is, as this side grows, it's growing, it's growing, it's growing, it's becoming heavier to this side that is not growing, such that at the end of the day, you will have your plant looking like that. Your plant will bend towards the source of light. The reason for bending towards the source of light is because the left side, in this case, it's growing and growing and growing, but the right side is not growing. So the left side becomes heavier on the right side and ends up facing the direction where the light is coming from, which is also true when the light is coming from the left. So it means this stem will also grow towards the left. I hope you guys are understanding this concept on phototropism. So now the next part is for geotropism. We are going to have a look at it when we are having our root placed horizontally. Horizontally like that. This is where our auxins are produced. Okay, so when you place it horizontal like that, we are saying all the auxins, they gather here at the bottom due to gravity. Gravity attracts what? Attracts the auxins. So growth, the way it's going to happen, growth is happening where auxins are. So they will start growing. So as this section starts growing, at the top is not growing, so it's going to end up bending. It will bend. When it bends now, it's going to face upwards like that. It's going to grow going upwards like that, and then we'll have our shoot there. And then because now it's growing going upwards, this section, due to gravity, it's also going to bend and grow going downwards, and then we have our root system this side. So the roots goes what? Downwards. The roots goes downwards, then the stem goes upwards. I hope we're together on geotropism. Okay, so now The next part, it's investigations. They will give you questions, mostly on plant hormones. They give you investigation based questions, and they'll use a guy called Clinostat. Make sure you make yourself familiar with this one. Clinostat. So what the Clinostat does, this is a rotating apparatus that we use. So you can put your plant on top of a Clinostat and it keeps rotating. So as it rotates, it means there's even distribution of light, if it's light, or is even distribution of oxygens in the plant. Everything will be even. So now they can give you an experiment to investigate phototropism. You can have a plant with the Clinostat, making sure this Clinostat will make sure that the whole plant will receive what? Light. And then on the other side, you can have a plant with no Clinostat, or maybe exposed to unilateral light. So unilateral can be light from the left or light from the right only. Remember, I explained to say when the light is from one side, to say it's from the left, the plant will grow towards the left. Why? Because oxygens they are destroyed by light, and most of them, they will move to the dark side. So on the dark side, that's where only we will have growth happening. So as the dark side is growing, it's going to be heavier on where the light where the plant is exposed to light, and then it will grow towards the light. So that's what you need to know as part of your conclusion. Before you even answer the questions, you must tell yourself, okay, so what am I expecting to know here? What is it that they want me to know? You need to understand that whenever there's a unilateral light, the plant will grow towards the light. When there's a Clinostat, it means there's an even distribution of light, or there's an even distribution of oxygens. Also, now, an investigation for geotropism. We are saying that when you are having, like, for example, bean seeds, and you have a Clinostat, the Clinostat means there's even distribution of oxygens there. So the root and the stem, they will develop according to the position of the bean. According to the position of the bean, meaning to say, let's say our seed, I'm not so good at drawing, so I'll just make a small sketch. If our seed is in this position, and we also have our seed in that position, and also have it I guess the horizontal, maybe this side, like that, and we have a Clinostat, we are rotating, it's rotating, there's even distribution of oxygens. So we are saying the root will develop, and also the shoot will develop according to the position. Let's just say that the roots, then this is the shoot that will develop. Here the root, like that, and then what? The shoot. Let me put R for root, then S for shoot, for stem. Here it's going to be also like this, stem, root, like that. So, or maybe the Clinostat, or maybe the plant it's in this direction, it's in the horizontal direction. You are having your pot like that, and then here's the plant, and then it's on top of a Clinostat. The Clinostat is rotating, so your plant will grow will elongate. It will grow on a straight line like that. That's what I'm trying to say. If you put your pot on a Clinostat facing up, the plant will also elongate nicely facing up. If you put your plant sleeping like facing to the right like that, it will just grow straight facing to the right, because of what? The Clinostat. It's making it possible to have even distribution of what? Oxygens. But then when it comes to an experiment without without the Clinostat, what will happen is your plant would bend. That now gravity comes into place. Your plant will bend like this. It will grow going upwards. The stem will go upwards, and then the root will go downwards. So it takes us back to that diagram to say the root system will go down due to gravity, the stem will go up. I hope these sketches, they make sense. I'm not so good at drawing. So what I want you to understand is the stem will go up, and then the root will come down there. Okay, so that's what I want you to master. And then the last part is plant defense mechanisms. On plant defense mechanism, we're saying Without any human interference, plants have developed a mechanism to protect themselves from herbivores. So the first thing is a chemical defense. We say these plants, they produce chemicals called, I will say this one, they produce chemicals called phytoescidy steroids. These phytoescidy steroids, they defend plants against insects. So what happens is the chemicals cause the insects to mount prematurely. You know, sometimes insects, they come and attach themselves on the plants and start sucking the plant juices. So what happens is, if they are there for a long time, they suffocate the plant will suffer from these the kind of parasites. But then because of chemicals that these plants produces, now the plants will just come and mount shortly, then they fall off because of the chemicals. And if they are so strong and they're trying to keep on benefiting from the plant, they will end up dying because these chemicals produced by the plant, they will affect the insect's metabolism, and the plant and then these insects, they will eventually die, while thinking that we are feeding, we are benefiting, not knowing that they are feeding themselves chemicals that are going to affect their metabolism, and then they will end up dying. Okay, so that's on chemical defense. We also have thorns. We have plants with thorns. We have prickles of rose bush. You know, you can't just go and hold the whole rose bush, you get hurt. And then we also have thorns of acacia tree. We also have spines on cactus tree. So we are saying these are sharp structures found on plants, and they are mainly for protection against herbivores, so that herbivores, they don't just feed on them. And we have these types of plants like the rose bush, the acacia tree, and the spines of the cactus tree. So that's all generally on plant hormones. That's all on plant hormones. So feel free to ask me if you have any questions. That's all for today. So we just need to know the auxins, the gibberellins, and the abscisic acid.